are, well, 80% of those physicians are very active with computers, especially any of the younger, like the younger staff they've hired to be the hospitalists are very active. And we're putting together numbers now to, instead of talking about a body count in terms of the number of physicians we've got online, what we want to do on a regular basis, and maybe report this to the medical executive committee, is the percent of patients whose care is supported by care manager, the census on a daily basis. And we do believe at this point in time, 85 to 90% of our census, the care is supported by physicians using our care manager and our Star Clinical browser systems. So we've got a lot of doctors using systems, and it really is helpful with their patients' care. They aren't all using wireless, like being said, they're going to their carols, their dictation stations, and they're sitting at workstations, but they are using systems.
Steve, thanks very much. Are there any questions for Steve? I have just one. Steve, you mentioned your Mobile Moms program. I was wondering, what's been the patient reaction to that?
Well, I mean, if you're, you've ever, you know, I've never delivered a baby myself. I sat through 5, and you know, they respond real well because they want to get up and get out of bed. So I think it's not a whiz-bang technology or so much, but it's definitely something that patients really appreciate the chance to get up and walk around.
How far are they able to handle around that?
It's unit-based. They can't walk outside. They can actually walk. There's a balcony in the window, and they can walk out there and get some fresh air. But it's basically a unit-based system.
Dennis.
Question here from Dennis.
Steve, you said that you had 40 to 50 access points. Dean was saying that he had a little bit less than 1/2 device per room. How many devices do you have in this?
Well, we have probably 6 to 8 mobile devices on each floor. And our units are pretty much 20-bed units, I would think. And we've got 18 units that we have stocked with mobile devices. So like 7 devices, and then we've got another 4 or 5 wired devices on each floor. And you know, a lot of that with the battery life, you just need extra devices because if a battery is dead, you just need an extra device. And you know, Microsoft software, blue screens, or you know, there's just things people do. Now we do allow people to surf the net. We have full function on those workstations. We've got what we call our virtual library online, so we've got MD Consult, we've got PubMed, CINAHL, and all those journals and research tools online, and so we have access available to anybody to sit down and surf the net. Basically, they can be Care Manager, Star, or Explore from the wireless devices.
Yes, Rich.
What's your nurse call system?
You know, I should know that because I think I signed the purchase order for it, but it slips my mind right now. If I can find it. It's one of the mainstream vendors. Yeah, it's Rollins. It's a Rollins system.
Thank you very much, Steve. I'd like to present our next speaker, Steve's left, Mike Alexa. Mike's a veteran. He's been in Catholic Health Midwest for 28 years, down in Indianapolis, my hometown. He's currently the Strategic Business Manager for Alverno Information Systems, which is a consulting service within Catholic Health. Mike and his group have been experimenting with wireless networking since the mid-90s, so please join me in welcoming Mike.
Thank you. As Gary said, I've been with Alverno Information Services, or our organization we now call it Catholic Health Midwest, although I think we're going back to using primarily Alverno. I often say, though, I've had probably 6 or 7 different jobs in IS. They just all happen to be for the same company. Over those years, I've really had the opportunity to work on quite a few different projects, and I think I've been fortunate that I've been able to do that without having to change the board. I find those opportunities within the same employer. Now, we're moving down to the low-tech part of the presentation. We don't have slides here. Neither does Michael, so we're getting down a little more casual here. And I hope that this doesn't seem a little bit like you're watching the movie Groundhog Day, because you're going to find that we also are a PCM user, and I think you're going to find a lot of people got into this wireless business as a result of writing that application, really. And that's primarily how we got into it too. We did not go on a search to use wireless technology. Wireless just happened to come in as a component of an application that we were already running. And we got involved with that product really at the same time as Dean's organization. We brought in Clinicom in '91 when I first used it, and we've gone through several iterations of equipment, including the same wall-mounted ClinView 2s that we used, and then moved to the ClinView RF. And that was in '92 where we started implementing ClinView RFs, and that was the first foray in wireless. And if any of you are familiar with that product, they've been looking at site charting not long ago. That was a proprietary handheld device, proprietary radio system. So there was nothing open system about that. It was fully designed by Clinicom and marketed by Clinicom. It ran in the 900 megahertz band, and it was probably, I would not say that was a successful product. I mean, it got wireless in the door, it gave them ability, it sort of got the job done, but there were a variety of ills. It was not a very reliable product. You didn't have the flexibility you have with the open wireless technologies today. Battery life was just a constant issue with that product. So I'm sure both of you are probably echoing that same thing. But it did get wireless, wireless in the door, and actually we had a couple of generations of devices with that. Then I'm trying to think, I think it was probably '98 where we switched over to the approximate range lane, and we brought that in. And we're using that. We have 6 to 7 healthcare facilities. I'm never sure how to count them because one of them is not a full ownership. One of them is a partnership environment, so I kind of count that. So I guess we would have 6.5. And we have wireless installed in 4 of them. And 3 of them is installed throughout all of the acute care nursing units. And then the 4th one is installed in critical care units in the ED part. So most of our installations have been full house throughout the nursing units. We use it primarily with the BCM application. We do use it in the one facility. Actually, I think we're doing it in 2 facilities now. We're doing the EP registration. We also are using wireless outside of that in wireless bridging between facilities. We're finding that to be pretty feasible if the circumstances are right, especially if we have campuses that go across public roads where you pretty much have to get the telco company involved. That's worked out well. And even we found a couple of situations now within a campus where it's been cheaper to put wireless bridges in than it has been to share on the parking lot, sidewalks, etc. Especially if the bandwidth requirements are not that great. I'm going to talk a little bit about our approach to implementing this. And I think we're going to find this a little bit, it's pretty similar to what you've heard from Dean and Steve, but we work with a couple of different vendors throughout the 4 facilities. We've actually worked with HBSC's CTG LXC group with 2 of them, and then we worked with Barrington Data with the other 2. So we really didn't feel we had to be tied to the application vendor, and we deviated that the last 2. And that worked out very well. There was no issues or problems at all with us dealing with that way. Anyway, when we first went to bring it in with the facility, of course, we worked with the vendor. We did our site surveys. We did our SAR locations and all where we went to put it in. Then we put together a team with generally myself from our data center, and then from the hospitals we involved, like you've heard before, the biomedical engineering, their wiring contractor if they used wiring contractors, their local MIS department, and the nursing informatics. So we would get together very early, right after the site survey, and we'd really get that group together, discuss the project, and get everybody's buy-in right at the beginning. And that was pretty important, because once you had all of those areas of the facility agreeing, the installations, working with the contractors, really went pretty smooth. I mean, there really was not a lot of problem with that one. Contractors and the engineering departments all pretty much saw eye to eye, and the nursing